but great to have everybody back. We're going to shift our attention a little bit now in this next section of the program. We've been talking about supplier diversity and efforts to use a Rooney Rule approach to improve the diversity of suppliers, and some great advice and observations from some companies that have really made some significant progress since we started this whole thing about 5 years ago. But our next section is really focused on creating and sustaining inclusive workplace cultures. And we're very pleased to have with us to kick things off Evan Fraser, who's the Senior Vice President at Highmark Health. Evan's been thinking long and hard about just a reality in our region that there are fewer African American professionals at the most senior ranks of corporate leadership throughout Pittsburgh, especially compared to the way it was 15, 20 years ago. I remember when I was working for KDKA back in the 90s, you would run into African American executives, C-level executives at different companies around town. And they just don't seem to be there in as great a supply as was the case 20 years ago. Evan thinks he's come up with a solution that over time is actually going to help this region do something about it, and so here to tell us more before he has to jump on a plane, I guess, and head for the West Coast or wherever he's headed, Evan Fraser from Highmark. Come on up.
Thanks so much. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Evan Fraser. I'm very proud to be here. Most of you know my role as Senior Vice President of Community Affairs for Highmark Health, and some of my colleagues are here today. You heard from Karen Hanlon earlier today, but you probably know Bob James and Lonnie Haynes, many others who I know are very supportive. But I'm not here today to really talk about that. I'm actually here in a slightly different capacity, really looking at one of the important needs of our region. So what I'm about to share with you is not a specific corporate initiative tied to our organization, but it really is meant to be a regional initiative. And so I want to thank Tim Stevens. You will always and forever be my favorite singing civil rights activist, former volunteer director, church organist in America Today. Always. So thank you for this opportunity to share and to talk about hopefully a bright future for our region. As you can see, it's titled the Advanced Leadership Initiative, and it deals with promoting and developing African American executives in the greater Pittsburgh region. As all of you know, Pittsburgh, has rebounded from the industrial decline. You heard the mayor was here earlier. I'm sure he shared the same sentiment. And while we've done so well as a city, all the sectors have not prospered equally. And we're all very painfully aware of that. In the city of Pittsburgh, there are predominantly 24% African Americans in the city of Pittsburgh. If you look at the region as a whole, it's about 13%. But when you look at executive leadership, it's estimated to be less than 0.1%. We have a long way to go. I couldn't have said it better than what Bill Flanagan said in the introduction, which is years ago, you could point to almost any company in our region, and there were, African American executives at the highest level. We don't see that here today. We've lost a lot of ground in the last 15, 20 years. And so my hope is that we can find a way to address this issue in the best way possible. Of course, this is preaching to the choir, but diversity is absolutely a key to our future success, both socially and economically. I can't say enough about how the future hinges on our ability to address this issue of diversity effectively. So let's talk about the need. Very fortunate, in fact, as I look across this room, I see a number of people who were part of discussions that resonated around this idea of what are we going to do to address the issue of African American leadership and what's the impact of that. There were a lot of discussions over the recent years, and it really helped to evolve to the point of, what are we going to do to really develop the talent pipeline? What are we going to do to address the environment here in our region that will help African Americans be successful at the highest levels? So as we talk about TALI, which just stands for the Advanced Leadership Initiative, it really deals with this idea of what can we do in developing world-class education and training. What can we do to address the unique challenges faced by African American leaders in the workplace? And then, how do we partner with the right individuals and institutions that will help this to be successful? And so that really is the question as we start to evolve. Again, I look across this audience, I see people who have been a part of the evolution of this idea since the very inception, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to share this with you guys. So the vision is this. We want to dramatically improve the regional presence of African Americans in executive, corporate, and nonprofit leadership roles, helping to create a more diverse, inclusive, and prosperous community. So that's the vision. And so the mission then becomes, how do we, it becomes building a continuous pipeline of African American leaders positioned to add significant value to their organizations and to the community through participation in world-class leadership development, uniquely designed to give African Americans the tools, exposure, and training necessary to maximize success in the greater Pittsburgh region. This is not meant to be a remedial program. This is an advancement program. This is designed to be something that will help to help really build the future. So we determined that there are three primary core elements for success. One is, how do we position and anchor it? We felt that it was needed to be anchored through world-class academics. There needed to be a community advisor connection to make sure that we're continuing to address the right needs that we face both in the workplace, not only just for corporate roles, but in the nonprofit sector as well. But we also felt it was critical that we had strong corporate partners. After all, you could do all the training in the world, but if you don't have the right corporate partners who are embracing this concept and this idea, it won't matter, right? So let's start out here. I'm very pleased to be able to share that the Tepper School at Carnegie Mellon, their School of Business, they have an amazing track record. They have truly emerged and embraced this idea. As a former trustee at Carnegie Mellon, I had the opportunity to get to know Dean Bob Damon, and through conversations initially starting there, and then of course Leanne Meyer, who is one of the director in their executive education, they really got behind this idea to say, how can we help to make this program successful, this initiative successful? As you know, Carnegie Mellon had many different programs that they offer through executive education. One is really focused in on women's leadership. And so what they've created is this idea of taking the Advanced Leadership Initiative, creating the Carnegie Mellon Advanced Leadership Academy that would help us to make this a reality. And so Leanne, I know, is here. I saw her. She's around here somewhere. And I know we're represented by many folks from Carnegie Mellon here today. But I can't say enough about the way that they really jumped in to be a part of this in an important way. And yes, absolutely. And as you see this image up on the screen, this is an image of the new Tepper School building, which is being built right on Forbes. And it's just about, well, in the next year it'll be ready. So our goal is to be able to launch this as that building is built, so that this Advanced Leadership Academy could be a part of the new building, the new structure. So Carnegie Mellon, in their vision, and partnered with the Advanced Leadership Initiative, developed this idea that really there are three core lenses. One is research-driven curriculum, executive coaching, and professional sponsorship. Just imagine if we have people going through, every person going through a particular curriculum would be able to have a 360-degree evaluation, receive an executive coach, someone who understands diversity in the workplace, but can help provide great guidance from a professional standpoint. And then everyone would also receive a professional sponsor, so regionally, that would be here in our region. And so those are the three core elements that we are looking at in this particular academic program. So research-driven curriculum. There's part of the curriculum that deals with mastering critical skills, similar to a traditional business program, business MBA program. But then there's also those skills that directly apply specifically to the unique African American experience. Very often, I know in my life, I've done quite a bit of training, but they never specifically deal with the issues that we face, right, in the workplace. And this is a particular curriculum that would pay attention to that, understand it, pull resources from around the country and from CMU that would help to make sure we have a clear view of how we're viewed within this world and how do we navigate successfully. You can see on the right, right now we talked about there being 8 modules, 8-month program. Strategic leadership, change management, operational excellence, collaboration and partnerships, people leadership, financial management, governance and civic leadership, and then executive presence. So we talked about the executive coaching, and again, everyone would receive a personal coach for the entire 8-month period of time, giving direct insight about their specific situation and in the workplace, and providing accountability as we talked about here. And this is probably one of the most key parts, which is this idea of professional sponsorship. As I said before, there are a number of folks we have in our community that the reality is, in order to break through, you can't break through the glass ceiling that exists out there without professional sponsorship. And that's one of the things that we found really does lack in our region, professional sponsorship for African Americans. And we have this little box on the right-hand side here that talks about mentorship versus sponsorship. How many people hear about, needing mentors all the time? Is that, you hear that often, right? And that's true, you do need mentors. But we're not saying mentorship is what's lacking. We're saying what's lacking is sponsorship. And here's the difference. A mentor offers advice and guidance to support desired career goals, whereas a sponsor will hold an influential, high-level role within the organization and can openly advocate on behalf of the person. So that's part of what is missing. And so I do need to say that this is a critical component. There are some initiatives out there. Greg Spencer, he was doing a project with Be Me. He's a Be Me leader and had received an award to do some work around this idea of professional sponsorship. And so we have partnered and collaborated with Greg, and Greg is going to be able to help from the work that he's doing to help inform the Advanced Leadership Initiative as an ongoing part of the process. So Greg, thank you for what you're doing out there. So who should attend this? This is designed for 20 participants annually. And just imagine, over 10 years, we would have 200 highly trained people who are plugged into the region like we are not today. We believe that that'll have a really profound impact. Both people who are both in the corporate sector as well as in the nonprofit sector would be eligible. As you can see the requirements on the right, I would imagine that most people have 10 to 15 years of experience already, but the minimum would be 5 years. Academic and professional experience, we believe, is going to be important to be able to take advantage of this particular initiative. And again, we're looking at an 8-month program at present moment. Advisory Council, we have an Advisory Council that would emerge, and the role of the Advisory Council would be to make sure we maintain the integrity of the vision, the mission, the measurement of success. And so there are a number of people who are in this room and outside of this room that I know would be a part of that. Want to also just acknowledge Kenya, who's one of the people who is very much a part of the planning and development, and I want to thank her for her leadership and many others who are a part of this room. In corporate partnership, this doesn't work without corporate partnership. In order to make this program initiative successful, it needs to be long-term. We're looking at a 10-year, at least a 10-year model. But corporate partnership is critical. We're very fortunate. I know you'll hear from Dennis Yablonsky later today, but through the Allegheny Conference, we've been in a number of conversations. Dennis, Catherine DeLuckery, and Bill Flanagan. We've started the dialogue around that to look at how the Allegheny Conference can be one of the critical partners in order to be able to lock down sponsorship, professional sponsorship, and be able to embed this initiative in the right way here in our region. So I'm so excited for that and very grateful. And let me just say, these are the expected outcomes. We expect that more African Americans in corporate and nonprofit leadership roles will be what happens as a result of this initiative. We believe that African Americans running nonprofits will be more successful. We believe that there will be a greater number of African Americans on corporate and nonprofit boards. And then ultimately, over 5 years, 5 to 10 years, we think there's going to be a noticeable change in recognition of Pittsburgh as a diverse and inclusive place to be. And so, as you could see, the others are just other types of things that we believe this type of initiative will foster. And with that being said, I think I have run out of time. But, but again, thank you for the time to share with you today. We're very excited about what's going to emerge here, and as we finalize the details and the business plan associated with this, we hope that you all will support it as well. Thank you so much.